Welcome to 5-Star Weekly. We now know Atlanta United's opponent in the round of 16 for the CONCACAF Champions League. And also, Atlanta United signed, re-signed. We have a player we had last season. We discuss all that and more coming up.
Welcome to the show, 5-Star fam. I'm AJ, this is Tanner McLeod. Before we get into it, become a member of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube, or hop over from Facebook and subscribe.
This segment is sponsored by The Crossing, a family-owned traditional steakhouse located in historic downtown Norcross, in the old train depot, serving mouth-watering steaks, seafood, and more with the quality of a fine dining establishment complemented by a casual setting.
So guys and gals, let's get right into the news, and first up on the docket is the opponent for the 2020 CONCACAF Champions League round of 16 has been revealed, and it is FC Motagua, a Honduran side. They're the second most successful side in Honduran history in their league, and they are gonna be a handful, I think, especially at their home stadium, Estadio Nacional. Apparently, it's got a lot of, a lot of similarities to the Herediano kind of pitch.
Oh, lovely. That was such an enjoyable experience last year, that nightmare in Herediano.
Ugh.
I mean, I think with the Champions League, especially these teams in Central America, you can't underestimate them just because they have less money and they play in a poorer league, you could say. The travel's difficult. You're going into a place that doesn't have the nicest facilities in the world, and they're usually a couple games deep into their season, and this is the first competitive game that Atlanta United will be playing in the 2020 season. We saw what happened last year. This year, thankfully, it'll be the second year under DeBoer, so it won't be a bunch of new ideas that the players will be using. They'll be comfortable, ideally, with the system he wants them to run. But again, that being said, you never know what can happen in these early Champions League ties, and hopefully Atlanta United doesn't get killed off in the first leg, and we can bring it back to Fifth Third Bank Stadium and get a good result and get on to the next round.
Right, because they are a team that I think, yes, we should get past, but they will be difficult at home, and then on that return leg, which has been confirmed to be the Kennesaw State Stadium, Fifth Third Bank Stadium, it will be a little bit, I think, a little bit familiar grounds for Atlanta United. Not maybe the best, but it is at least something that they've played on before. We are technically undefeated on that pitch, so okay, not the worst in terms of that. But
Hashtag Monster Jam.
Hashtag Monster Jam. God. But in terms of this side, Motagua, it is their fifth appearance in the CONCACAF Champions League, and they've never actually kind of advanced past the round of 16, so that actually bodes well. But let's not be the first team that they actually beat in the round of 16 either. So it is not a side that we should take lightly, but if we do get past them, there is a pretty tasty kind of fixture that we could face, in that is Club America. But, that's seeing if we both advance. But, Club America, that would be really interesting. There's a lot of, there's
a little bit of history there between the clubs because of that Campeones Cup game, which in my opinion was the most exciting game I've ever been to for Atlanta United. The atmosphere was incredible. The game itself was highly entertaining, up and down, wide open. You really saw the pace and the skill and the technical prowess of a top-level Liga MX team.
The fact that we beat them in a final is very...
And they wanted to win it.
Yeah. There were no buts about it. They got made fun of in their newspapers when they got beat by us. And so, really, they will be looking for revenge if this does happen. And also, they also play at Estadio Azteca, which is, I don't know, you just Google that. It is beautiful.
It is one of the most difficult places to play in the world because of the altitude, the fans. It will be an incredible place. Maybe the view of it isn't as great as Monterrey last year, but that being said, this is one of the historic grounds in world football and soccer, and that would be an incredible matchup. But again, Atlanta has to take care of FC Motagua first. We'll take care of all of the match previews and breakdowns, and I'll get into a lot more detail closer to that day because we still don't even know what our roster will look like for next year. Right. But hey, at least we know the team, and it's not Herediano as far as I'm concerned.
Right, and at least this tidbit, we know that PT Martinez will likely be on the team, and the gaffer for this team, Diego Vasquez, has been known to be a River Plate fan and a PT Martinez fan. So, really interesting there in that, maybe he will pay a lot of respect to PT Martinez and maybe, maybe alter the tactics too hard, and maybe he'll play in our favor.
Exactly. Who knows? Pity hat trick? I'd be up for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And he shows up in big games, so maybe he can get a little hat trick off of.
I feel like a settled Pity Martinez in the Champions League is a massive boost because he had a lot of settling in problems this year, and if he's comfortable in the team moving into 2020, having a Pity Martinez who's comfortable with his teammates and his surroundings in a competition like this, where the style of play is a lot more to what he's used to, a lot more to what he's comfortable with, especially if you do advance and play against a team like Club America. I think that's where you could really see the best of Pity Martinez. Yeah. And it'd be early season, but I still think it'd be great viewing.
All right, agreed. And in terms of the full bracket, we're on a tough side as we're on the same side as an LAFC, a Club Leon, who are playing each other, actually.
That's a really rough draw for LAFC.
Yeah, they probably got the shaft in terms of, the unluckiest of the draws. Yeah, I mean...
Oh, don't worry, Cruz Azul is also on this side of the bracket.
It's pretty much us, and if we, get past any of, the rounds, then we are facing Liga MX teams.
And I'm going to go ahead and make a early and bold prediction. Tigres is going to win the other side because they are the best team by a mile on that side of the bracket, in my opinion.
Right, and then Seattle Sounders maybe lucked in getting that over there on that side.
Well, especially their bottom part of the bracket. I mean, they have Olympia, Montreal, and Saprissa. So
it's a little easier.
They could get to the semifinal or so, but Tigres is winning that side of the bracket. I'm just saying that right now.
Yeah, because, I mean, you have Montreal Impact, who has a new manager in Thierry Henry, and that's going to be really a really tall task for him to get everything together in that time. It'll be like Frank Cabor, and way less resources, essentially. So, and then also NYCFC, they also are managerless, so that will be interesting for them.
Tigres is winning that side of the bracket.
Looks a little easier on paper, at least. Don't quote us on this just because we're, judging.
In my opinion, I think on that side, the team that you'd have to pick the number of teams that could win it on that side of the bracket, 1, Tigres. Number of teams that could win it on the Atlanta side of the bracket, 4.
Several, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, it's going to be a fun Champions League. And I think, it's going to be very difficult. And if we do get through this gauntlet, then all right, we will have earned it for sure.
That's the thing when you think about it, is that at the end of the day, you want to test yourself against the best teams in the region. And how do you do that? You play in the Champions League and play against these big teams from Mexico because they are the powerhouses of this hemisphere. So you play them, you beat them, you earn respect worldwide, and people really take you seriously in terms of what this club means, how far it's come. So year 4, you're playing the big boys. You are expected to win in these games. That's what we want to do. And, hopefully MLS realizes that in order to compete with that, we need to open things up a bit more, but we'll talk about that a bit more later.
Right, but in terms of that, just to, continue what you're saying, it's really, if we want to be considered a big club, we want to perform in these big fixtures. We want to win the Champions League, maybe be the first team besides the Liga MX team to do it as well in its kind of new incarnation anyway. And so, I think winning it would be a fantastic way to really stamp the arrival of LA United on a kind of more, at least hemisphere scale.
Well, positive is a player that has some experience against Club America is going to be plying his trade in MLS with Atlanta United again next year.
Yes, indeed. So Emerson Hyndman has been signed to a permanent transfer with Atlanta United from Bournemouth, and so, it's going to be a multi-year contract going till 2022, which is quite a while, so that's pretty good. And it's also, it's interesting that there's no kind of transfer fee that has been disclosed, no kind of numbers in terms of how much
he's a TAM player? Yeah. Where is he?
It's really interesting, and we'll find out probably near the end of the season how much he was at least paid, at least. So, I mean, is he kind of looked at as the heir to the Darlington Nagbe position? He likely is, but in terms of the production, maybe we shouldn't expect that from him. But I mean, he was very productive when he was playing on any of the, when he was starting, when he was coming in. I mean, it was he was a guy that he came right in and started producing and performing. And I think he's a guy that we desperately, I think, needed to really, I think, make this move and
Absolutely.
make sure.
I think that, you give him a preseason, give him more time with the team, let him fully settle in. And he had enough time. He spent half a season to make quite a few appearances, but he offers a little bit of a different dynamic. And I know that he has some detractors, but I think what he's good at is he's much better in the final third than some of our other midfielders. He's one of the few midfielders that Atlanta United had last season that when he would play a ball into feet of somebody, he would actually make a run into the box. Arlington Nagbe was not a player that made a lot of runs into the box because he would control the play and make the passes around the area when you were switching the play. Remedi started moving forward a bit more as the season went on, and I think that's something that, depending on what formation Atlanta United play, and should they sign an actual holding midfielder, you could see some more of. But I think Emerson Hyndman has more, and I think he has room to grow. He is still a younger player, and I think we haven't seen the best of him yet. But he's tidy on the ball, and I think he'll have a bright future with Atlanta United.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, is he a person that we're looking to, put up DP numbers and, really control the game like Jonathan Nagbe? No. And I think that's a pretty resounding there. But in terms
I think he can contribute more goals than Nagbe can.
Yes, absolutely. And so I think that's really where we do need to have more goals from different places, different sources other than Jose Martinez. And so this is a great start from that. So moving on from that, our first preseason match has been announced, and it is Birmingham Legion. They're a USL side, and so it will be interesting on February 8th. It's they're also called the Magic City. Was this kind of a Magic City derby of sorts? I mean, it's going to be,
Interesting.
Very interesting. But, and that's a hat tip to ATL Polo on Twitter for kind of penning that. But it'll be, I think, a team that, it's kind of going to be in a kind of similar, they're starting their season as well. I don't know how, good of a competition this really is for us, but at least games that we could see them play is at least better than what we had last year, where they went to California, it rained the whole time, and then
we had a terrible preseason.
They played some college sides essentially, and it was only open to the media, and they didn't look all that good.
Then we played Tijuana's 300 team that had guys with 3-digit numbers, and it's what is going on right now?
Right, and so I think this we will at least, and why they did that, it makes more sense, of course, because Frank de Boer, he was trying to ingratiate the team and himself, and maybe not play in front of people, in front of the public, when they're still working out the kinks. This time is a lot different. There's going to be, I think, more of a rapport that he's already had, of course, and it would just be, I think we really need just better competition that we're facing, but it's difficult because there's, what are we going to play? Some Liga MX teams in the middle of their season? They're not going to do it. And so it is difficult. I mean, what do you do? So you're going to have to play teams like this, or you play other MLS sides, but you don't want to show your hand too much. They're going to be in the region probably as well. I mean, last year we played LAFC and Seattle Sounders, and they were okay. They were okay matches, but we just need more and better matches to really gear up for the regular season. But moving on from that, there's a tweet from Gustavo Rodriguez on Twitter where he pretty much kind of tweeted out what LGP said as a guest on No Todo Pasa TYC or TYC Sports. And so basically he said, and LGP kind of went through a whole bunch of things, but he said of the thoughts, when you get to MLS, you don't want to leave. Interesting there. He said also, PT is happy at Atlanta United because it's a quiet environment. It's good to hear. He also said, I miss Tata, but we have adapted to a different style of play with Frank de Boer. And then also, he said that the technical sporting director, Carlos Bocanegra, has a lot of power. And then also that the player has to maintain a demeanor off the pitch. And finally, that I've always been a River fan. So, very interesting.
He's not going to Boca, so if you ever see that rumor, it's never going to happen.
Right. But he has said that he would go if, he was transferred there. But, I think most players are just okay, if I'm being paid, all right, it could be a lot worse than Boca or River. So.
I don't know. I think that runs pretty deep.
It usually does, but yeah.
I don't know.
And maybe now that he's, played with PT, it would be
I don't think I could ever see LGP playing for Boca. That's just me.
Yeah, and so also, you have that little bit of that, you don't want to leave when you get to MLS. That's really interesting. I mean, it shows that, if there is an impasse with LGP, like, yeah, he still wants to be here, I think. And so, maybe he does have two options. It's one of those things like, okay, he doesn't even know. Like,
we don't even know. Who knows? I just want to keep him here because I like
Right.
LGP. I think he's one of the best defenders in the league.
Right.
And, I think he could be here for a very long time, for a large chunk of his career, and I'd be A-okay with that.
Right. And the fact that he said that PT is happy here, I mean, that's really, really important, I feel like, because, obviously River fans are absolutely nuts, renowned for being nuts. The whole River Boca derby is just, that's insane.
It's the pinnacle of shithousery.
Exactly. It's the super classico for a reason. And so, yeah, it is, I think, good in that sense that he finds some peace maybe here. Maybe he can find that kind of...
No one's setting his car on fire, so that's a good start.
Very true. And I think most of the times, yeah, unless you're an Atlanta United fan, he could probably, float around and not be really noticed. So, not too bad for that. But anyway, moving on from that really informative tweet, it is the anniversary of the MLS Cup win, which has, of course, it's a year of just, it's sad that, of course, we didn't win this year, but you can reminisce on last year's.
The U.S. men's national team.
Yep. Miles Robinson.
Anyway, I'm not going to bring a bad thing down. Yes, 1 year ago, good times. If you haven't seen Jay Riddle's video, by the way, go look up Jay Riddle. He made a very funny video about the 1 year anniversary of the MLS Cup. But it's just
good memories.
It's good memories.
And it's one of those where, just every bit of it, just how fortunate we were to be able to watch it from where we were, be in the building even, is just fantastic. Not knowing, if we were going to win, but it is like, we had a really good feeling going into the game.
I felt really confident going into that game.
And then it's like, that first goal, just... it's just so good.
It's like when that first going in, I think everyone knew we weren't losing.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just not happening. Portland, it ain't your night. I'm sorry.
Exactly. There was something magical in the air. And then plus, even though we heard a little bit of the Portland Timbers fans, from the other side, it was like, okay, this... I think if they were given a proper, allotment, which, of course, they complained about.
5,000 or so.
I mean, it would have been even greater atmosphere, but I think it was... already amazing. But of course, when Franco Escobar's second goal, when that hits, it's just, yes, it is a cup for Atlanta, and it just really puts away kind of a little bit of a curse for Atlanta sports, in terms of major sports anyway. So
depends on who you are, at least. Orlando.
Exactly. But anyway, so it is just very, very good memories. And of course, you also have the 2018 MLS Cup Parade, which was beautiful to be part of. Just the hysteria.
Weather wasn't great.
Weather wasn't great, but in terms of the memories, they were all very, very good. And then, you just, all this huge crowd following the
It was
bus.
supposed to be an organized parade with you have a parade pass, so you get to walk with, and everyone was just F that, and just everyone just kind of amoebaed into the whole thing, and it was just a whole crowd of people that was like a walking party, where everyone just walked along through the streets, and it was incredible because it was one of those things where it was supposed to be again, it was supposed to be organized, and Atlanta fans were like, we don't do this. This is not happening. We're a big family, and everyone just kind of came together, and it was just that was when I think for a lot of people, the night or the 2 nights before when you win the cup, the weather was even worse. But I think a lot of people, it was just this pinnacle. But then when you got to share that celebration with everyone during the day, and people who maybe didn't make it to the game, it brought so many people to, what was it, 100,000 people or so all together. I mean, that's what Atlanta United's about. That was the Atlanta Es Familia. It was incredible.
Right, seeing Tata hit the golden spike, that was amazing. I mean, just so many good moments.
Jeff holding a sign that says who has beer, throw beer.
Incredible. I mean, just other sides of the players that you don't normally see. Just great scenes. But so moving on from that, Ezequiel Barco, speaking of winning trophies for teams, Ezequiel Barco was honored by his former club Independiente for his contributions in the 2017 Copa Sudamericana. And yeah, he got to hold up his jersey all framed up to the crowd, and they were just showering him with love. Really great to see, because it's just, he's a guy that, because of that, I mean, sort of great to see. We had to pay a little bit more, but he is a guy that is integral to our plans, and but it's also interesting because now
speaking of paying more.
Yeah, speaking of paying more, there are transfer rumors now, and there have been, of course, from the past weeks, but there apparently is a price on him now, and that is $25 million for at least maybe the starting point for Ezequiel Barco, and that's really interesting. I mean, that's at least $10 million above what we paid for him. It still wouldn't net us too much in terms of if we sold him in January. That doesn't really return us a whole lot.
I still don't see that January move happening, even for $25 million. I mean, it's just, I think it's something we talked about last week. $25 million, I think, is a good starting number. I think if you're Atlanta United, I think you want to hit 30. If he has a great start to his season and you do well in the CONCACAF Champions League and he puts in big performances against potential Mexican sides, then I think that price tag goes up.
Right.
If you get an offer for $30 million during the summer, you have to take that, because it breaks the MLS record fee for a transfer. That is a massive amount of money for an MLS team to make $30 million off of a transfer. I'm pretty sure at that point in time, the clause to Independiente in terms of how big it is has dropped off.
It does.
So you'll get the money you paid for him, plus a big chunk, obviously MLS, unless the CBA changes between now and then, and that weird thing where MLS gets the money goes away, which I doubt it does, unfortunately, you're still going to net over $20 million for one player, which is a big windfall, and you can't say no to that.
Exactly. And so, if it does happen, it will be sad to see Ezequiel Barco go, but I think if he earns that move, he will probably have earned that for Atlanta United as well. We'll probably have a good run of games in which he was performing. So I think it'll work out for all sides if that did happen. It's that kind of replacement. Hopefully,
and
it's a good one.
Those rumors are going to keep coming for him, kind of like it was with Miggy.
Yep, indeed. Anyway, but so moving on from that, a new player for Atlanta United 2 has arrived, and his name is Jack William Gurr. He had played with the Georgia Revolution, and yeah, welcome to Atlanta United 2. They've been collecting some players, so
it's like a pirate.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Jack William Gurr.
But but anyway, so moving on from that, not really Atlanta United news, but in the area of Georgia news in terms of soccer, East Atlanta FC has joined USL League 2, and that's not exactly East Atlanta, or like the that version of it. It's kind of more like near Stone Mountain, so it's like not really Atlanta, but all right. But they're gonna join the Deep South Division in 2020. But more soccer in Atlanta, I feel like, is always a good thing. So more of this sport for other people to see, always great. But anyway, last bit of news and a little lighthearted stuff is that in the social media of Michael Parkhurst, he was out golfing with former Five Stripe Mark Bloom, and he got clowned by Miggy and Joseph in the comment section, just laughing at his form, laughing at just his age. It was, generally when you golf, it's usually when you're a little older. Sand's really aggressive, but and maybe LGP, I guess. I mean, they're kind of around the same age, actually. But anyway, it's usually when you're a little older you start golfing, and so they've been kind of ragging on him a little bit.
He's retired now. Let him do what he wants.
Exactly. I mean, just let the man,
let the man golf in peace.
Let the man kind of grow gray. But anyway, that's it for the news, and gets us to the buy or sell segment. And essentially, we put up an Atlanta United topic, and we say if we buy or sell, and give our reasons why. So first topic is Atlanta United will defeat Motagua with both legs, unlike
I hope we have both legs.
Both legs, exactly.
Although, never mind.
They apparently are the murder capital city of the world, so maybe going there, maybe
not in a way game I'm planning on.
maybe not the idea that we really want to do. But so saying that whole thing again, LA United will defeat Motagua in both legs, unlike with Herediano last year. By yourself.
I think being the team having that continuity, having a preseason, I think will be much better. You know, having the staff and possibly a few new additions to the team, I think they're going to come out. They're going to mean business. They learned last year was their first experience in the Champions League. I think they'll know what to expect in terms of facilities, atmosphere, pitch, officiating, and I think they're going to be a lot more settled and they're going to come out firing. I think they take care. Honestly, I think they take care of things in the first leg. I think they go down there and win, get a few away goals, and rest players in that second leg, or not necessarily rest, but they're able to make some subs earlier in the second half to where they're not risking injury or anything like that.
I also buy as well. I mean, yeah, definitely. I think that I agree that they've learned some things and also how to shit house a little bit better as well. I mean, the U.S. Open Cup final, anybody? I mean, you know.
I think we definitely, as the season went on, even in the Club America game in the Campeones Cup, the team had to learn how to shithouse. And the thing is that like shithousery and professionally seeing a game out is actually like the same thing. Learning how to see a game out. That's what the teams that win in the Champions League in Europe are the best at. Those teams that know how to waste time in a way that grinds the game down, breaks up the other team's rhythm, takes anything that they have away from them, and then just sees the game out and takes care of business. That's, I think, Atlanta learned how to do that. It took some time, but I think they're going to do that and continue to get better at that.
Right. And then, because also, I mean, you know, the lesson to learn maybe from the Monterrey first leg as well.
Make substitutions?
Yeah.
Maybe we didn't learn that?
Yeah, maybe not just that part. That's not what I'm referring to. But also that, yeah, before that, we should have maybe saw out the game a little bit more and realized that, okay, 1-0, okay, going back home is not maybe as bad as 3-0. So, you know, there is that kind of, you know, how do you see out this match so that it is the best result possible, no matter if you're winning or losing, because there are two legs. So, I think there is, I think, a little bit of, you know, they've learned. There's a little bit of a curve. Maybe the whole, you know, from Frank de Boer's side, there's still a little bit to be desired, but we'll see. So, anyway, next buy or sell topic. Emerson Hyndman will play in 25 or more matches in 2020. Buy or sell?
I will super buy this because I think he will start 25 or more matches in 2020. I think that he is going to be a big part of what Atlanta wants to do. I think he fits Frank de Boer's system really well. I don't know who will play alongside him, but I think he will play a lot, and I think he will score a few goals. I could even see him maybe reaching double digits in all competitions.
Oh, goals?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think he
wow.
could. I think he could.
Okay, I dig it. Yeah, I think I buy as well. It's just yeah, I mean, it's gonna be difficult. I think. Is he the guy that is the guy to build around in the midfield? I mean, that's really the question, because, you know, if it's he and Eric Rometti, okay, you know, there's still something lacking in that. So, you know, we need something else in terms of control. So
I think he'll function best. I think he functions best in a midfield three.
Yeah, and so if you know, if there's another player that's brought in, or if it's Ezequiel Barco that kind of has to play a little bit further back, a little bit more, maybe it's that. But I think, yeah, it's gonna be difficult, I think, to say that he starts like all 34 games. I just don't think.
And again, I want to clarify all competitions, meaning U.S.
Yeah,
Open Cup, Champions League, that whole thing.
Yeah, but I just don't think he's like the automatic starter in MLS. So yeah, I think there's you know, he's gonna play more than 25. It's just gonna be more spread out within the competitions. But anyway, last buy or sell topic. Brooks Lennon reportedly wants number 12, according to a Doug Robertson tweet, and Miles Robinson will give up number 12 since he once wore number 6. Buy or sell?
I'm going to sell because Miles Robinson, it's like he was runner-up to MLS Defender of the Year. No offense, Brooks Lennon, you don't come in and take man's number unless he wants to give it away. I mean, you can ask him, you can pay him for it.
Yeah,
I mean,
might
that
pay
kind of
him for
happens. I mean, there's some big numbers available. 4 is available because Pogba's gone. 3 is available because Parkey retired. Would Miles Robinson want to take those numbers on? I don't know.
Number 3, man, yeah.
Yeah, it's even
traditionally a left back number as well.
Yeah, traditionally a left back wears 3, so it's like weird to see a center back wear 3. But 4, I mean, maybe 6. I don't really see him wearing 6. I always think of the midfielders wearing 6, but that's just me.
But he did wear it before.
Nah, at the end of the day, I think Miles Robinson keeps 12. I think he's happy with 12, and if he takes anything, 4. take 4. Don't take 6. I don't like 6 for a defender. It's just me. I'm weird.
Sure. Yeah,
I'm weird with numbers.
Exactly. Well, I guess he's a purist or something. But no, I also sell. I think Brooks Lennon. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's got enough pull here.
You haven't played a game yet, my guy.
Yeah, he's gonna have to do something maybe. But
score a banger.
Yeah, and especially Miles Robinson having played so well in number 12. It's hard pressed for you to change your number after that.
I'm superstitious about that.
Yeah, people are superstitious about those type of things, and so once you switch and you play well in it, I mean, you pretty much can't, right? So I don't know. I don't think it happens, but. Anyway, so that does it for buy or sell and gets us to the mailbag. You guys send in these questions through IG story. Please continue to do so, and we might answer your questions in the future. First question comes from Josemar Medina. What do you guys think about the expanded 24 club World Club Champions League in 2021?
It's like the World Club Championships or something or the other. Only reason I know, because I've been playing Football Manager and I just figured out about this competition, and it's in the worst time in the world if you're a European club, because it takes, I think, the top 2. If you make the finals, I think you go to this thing, and it's like middle of June, and the timing's awful. You already play a bunch of games. You have 2 other teams in your group. You play those games, and then you advance like a knockout tournament style. It's just a whole thing, and then it's probably going to be in the Middle East or the Far East, not here. There's a lot of travel in the middle of the season. I'm not a fan. I'm going to be honest. Like, I like the idea, but I don't need more soccer in my life. I know that sounds weird, but like, it's just a whole nother tournament, a bunch of games. I like the current rendition in a way. It's kind of silly, and usually the team from Europe wins, whatever, but 24 teams for a Club World Cup, it's just super unnecessary.
Yeah, it is convoluted in a lot of ways, and so I think, the amount of travel that you're going to do midweek, I mean, it's already pretty bad for, that's not even like MLS.
I think you go on pause. I think
crazy,
you pause MLS, because
Yeah.
if you're, I think what would happen is all this is played within like a 2-3 week period, and you'd be in the area where you'd be playing it, because you wouldn't leave. You'd play like a game every 3 days or something like that, and it's just like, nah, it ain't the one. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
It's I think there needs to be some revisions to maybe some stuff.
I hope it just doesn't happen, but it probably will, because FIFA.
But anyway, so next question comes from Cortez370. Is PT 100% committed to Atlanta United? Because his Insta story has nothing but River Plate stuff. Now, I've noticed that as well. It's one of those, I think we just mentioned that LGP said that PT is really happy in Atlanta. Now, that could just be placating and him saying stuff like that. But, PT Martinez has River in his heart. I mean, that's clear. He has said that he wants a move to Europe as well. But he's happy at Atlanta, so...
he won't get paid at River what he's getting paid in Atlanta, so he's not going back to River. Is he 100% committed to Atlanta? Probably not, in that I think he still has his heart set on a move to Europe. But that being said, I think he's going to give everything he can while he's in Atlanta so he can get that move. But yeah, he loves River. He won Copa Libertadores against Boca. I mean, that club's always going to mean something, and he is always going to mean something to that club because of what he did for them. So, it's just one of those things where former players, they have that history. Same thing with Barco and Independiente. Obviously not to the level of PT and River, because, River is one of the biggest clubs in South America. So,
right. So yeah, it's just it's different levels of it, and as long as he plays well for Atlanta United, then that's all I'm worried about. So hopefully he does play better next season. So next question comes from Word Jerk. How do you feel about games at Kennesaw Stadium? So, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but I'll expand a little bit further. I mean, basically, not only the parking and not only the driving up there is difficult, the traffic, especially sometimes on the start times, you're pretty much in just dead stop traffic going up there.
I have to pee every 5 minutes.
It's just difficult if you don't live close, and I understand that there's a lot of people that come from a lot of other places that deal with this all the time, but I think it's on top of the where it's a Champions League game. You want it to be at the best venue possible, and it's not going to be. And I get it. Yeah, Third Bank Stadium is a decent stadium in terms of the intimacy. The way it plays is pretty good. and the sidelines are quite good. But I think at the end of the day, there's something about it that just rubs me just the wrong way. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to complain the hardest.
It could be worse.
Yeah, it could be much worse. There are worse venues.
It could be
definitely
Gwinnett
in the city. Yeah. So
I mean, I'm not a fan of it either. I mean, I'm more of a fan of it than I was last year. I don't mind it. Like we said, Atlanta, knock on wood, hasn't lost there yet. I like being close to the pitch. I think it's nice to be tight. It's very intimate. But the points are still stands. The parking's awful. Getting out is awful. Getting there is awful. The stadium's great. But that's about it. And I hope Monster Jam can figure out a different date of the year to start having their stuff, and we don't get this happening. But yeah, I'd prefer Champions League games to be played at the Bins, just like every other game. I would prefer to be played at the Bins. I'm annoying. I live inside the perimeter. It's convenient, and the stadium is nicer.
But bias aside, it is, yeah. I mean, because of the deal, yes, it
also
works.
Climate control.
Also climate control, for sure. But yeah, I mean, if it's hot or rainy or any of that, you don't have to deal with it. I mean, it really is. We're spoiled.
Yeah, pretty much we're spoiled.
But anyway, the next question comes from the Alex Novak. Favorite memory from the parade?
From the parade, I mean, I think I kind of have to drop a favorite memory from the game in there first, if that's okay. The fact is, for me, like, my dad got to come down, and I got to watch the game with my dad. Like, we went to the game together, and my dad is one of the main reasons why I'm a soccer fan. He got me watching Manchester United back in the mid-2000s, which is really what started my love of the game. And to be able to share that moment with him was just really, really special, and it was really, really cool. But then with the parade, it was just, again, kind of what we touched on earlier, just that whole family atmosphere where it was like, it was just a total celebration for everyone that was there. You knew what it meant. You were sharing something together. And it's something you don't get really experienced too often, that just communal enjoyment of something that means so much to you. Honestly, the entire parade was just an incredible feeling, and it was great.
Yeah. No, okay, so I won't go into the MLS Cup win because we kind of already talked about that. But yeah, so in terms of favorite memory from the parade, yeah, I love that we shut down the city pretty much. It really kind of dispels the notion of Atlanta not being a soccer town, a sports town. When you see that scene, when you see just the shrouds of people surrounding a bus and it not being able to move, I mean, that pretty much encompasses it completely.
That bus driver had to have taken a lot of Xanax because, like,
Exactly.
the anxiety of all those people there would have just driven me insane.
The insurance risks of all of that is just insane, I'm sure. But yeah, just from all the from Darren Eales saying the South's got something to say to just really, it was just through and through a beautiful, beautiful day that I just look fondly on every single time that I look at the pictures, think about it, and hopefully we get another one. Hopefully we get many more, because this is what this team's all about. They want to win trophies, and we're here for it. We are absolutely here for it. But last question comes from Josemar Medina. Can ATL win this Scotia Bank Champions League with the MLS current limitations?
Got to get that sponsor in there. The bracket's really difficult. Can they? Yeah, they could definitely win. You have to get lucky. You have to play some really good games, and I think you have to sacrifice. I think you learned from last year. You have to sacrifice those first few MLS games. You have to rotate the squad, and I think that's something DeBoer will do this time around. If we're advancing, if you're playing Club America and you have a chance to win that tie, you're rotating. You're not playing your strongest 11 on the weekend in MLS. That being said, if the rules were opened up a bit, if somehow with the CBA things are allowed to be a bit more flexible and you're allowed to have more depth and add more quality to certain parts of the roster and really fill it out top to bottom with really solid players, then you're going to have a better chance at winning. I mean, at the end of the day, Monterrey's squad last year was worth, I believe, $30 million more than Atlanta United's. Monterrey would have had 11 or 12 designated players, or players on designated player wages. Atlanta United has 3. So you have to be able to have players of that quality in all positions of the pitch in order to compete with those clubs. And I hope that that's the way that MLS will move. Maybe not quickly, but maybe in steps. Hopefully they can start to take that handbrake off a little bit. But that being said, still, can Atlanta United win right now? Yeah, absolutely. You got a guy named Joseph Martinez, and a guy like Pity Martinez, and a guy like Ezequiel Barco. Those players have experiences in big-time games, especially Barco and Pity Martinez. They've played in South America. They've played in CONMEBOL. Sudamericana and the Copa Libertadores make the Champions League look like a Sunday league at the end of the day. So
yeah, that's kind of true. But yeah, it is to that degree. I mean, we are one of the teams that are looked at as one of the favorites to win it. I mean, if you look at the other side of that bracket, it's like, okay, Seattle Sounders, but are they looked at as one of the players or teams that are going to win this? I mean, I don't think much more than an LAFC or Atlanta United. So in terms of MLS sides, we're probably one of the more likely for sure. And in terms of against the Liga MX side, of course, it's going to be difficult. Yes, we have those limitations that really hinder us in competing with that. I mean, if you look at over in Europe, it's like they have like 12 to 15 like DPs essentially comparatively. It's really difficult. But I think at the end of the day, I think we showed some really good depth against Club America in that sense when we had to rotate and we did play very well. Now, do note that Jonathan Nagby did start that match, and so it would be interesting if he got through. But because we do need somebody that does what he does.
Because he's on that level.
Yeah, it really is a difference, and so it really will be hard. We really need to replicate something, maybe through a couple players, few players, but yes, I think we can win. We have to have a lot more luck maybe on our side maybe than even last year, because right now as the team is constructed, we don't know, but it is not maybe the strongest depth-wise at the moment. So
I'm basing that we can win based upon the team making some strong signings
Right.
and potentially some CBA fluctuations in terms of us being able to spend a little bit more money.
Right. So a lot of things need to happen between now and then to begin with. But I think we're very positive Atlanta United fans in that sense that we will. I mean, pretty much.
We'll revisit this again in February.
Yeah, we will. But we're gonna bank on the team anyway. Despite all.
We didn't say we would. We said we can. Full disclaimer.
Yeah. But anyway, that does it for the mailbag and pretty much the entire show, except for the question of the day.
And guys, the question of the day, it's pretty simple. It's been a 1-year anniversary. What was your favorite memory of winning MLS Cup and or the parade? Get down in the comments below and let us know what you guys have to say.
But guys, that's it for the show today. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video because it really does help us a lot. And smash that like button. And for Cameron McLeod, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching.